So how will the US House Speaker deadlock end? 2 days and 6 failed attempts, and the stalemate has left the whole chamber in a state of paralysis. The numbers don't paint a pretty picture for the man who would be Speaker, that is Kevin McCarthy. These are the 6 votes, hardly budged at all, haven't moved at all in the last 3 votes. They're not moving forward at all. 218 is the magic number here. He needs to get above that to get the position. But he's not going anywhere. He says he's wanted this for years. This is the history. He's been close to the speakership before. He had a failed bid in 2015. This is the first time, though, we've had this situation in more than a century. The first time voting has gone beyond 1 round in 100 years. And it all comes down to this. A key branch of the US government can't operate right now.
We have one of our 3 branches of government offline right now. That is a very dangerous thing for our country, and it cannot continue much longer.
Well, how does it end then? Let's bring in our senior political analyst, John Avlon. You are sort of obsessing with this question, I know. But it's very difficult, isn't it, when there isn't a leader to help the chamber through this?
Yeah, and Kevin McCarthy, as you say, desperately wants to be that leader, but his own conference doesn't seem to want him in sufficient numbers. You know, in our polarized, hyper-partisan era, it's sometimes been said that American politics has all the disadvantages of a parliamentary system with none of the advantages. And this is in part what you're seeing. He can't corral the so-called chaos caucus, a lot of Trumpist election denier types, and he's going to keep trying to push this vote forward, but he needs 218 to become speaker, and he's nowhere near that right now. So
what are the, potential options to get a majority behind a leader?
Well, the only option that Kevin McCarthy has is, and he was working late into the night trying to offer concessions to individual members, is to somehow coax that crew back over to his side. Now, he had some successes with conservative groups like Club for Growth, which is a fiscal conservative organization. But even McCarthy's allies will say there are at least 4 members who are no-goes, which means he's got to win everybody else. That's a long haul, and there's no sign of it breaking his way. If he spends another day fruitlessly doing the same thing and not coming anywhere at 218, you're going to start to see Republicans, you just heard Brian Fitzpatrick, Republican from Pennsylvania, say, we need a different way. That could be a compromise candidate like his deputy Steve Scalise from Louisiana. Or there are other scenarios where Democrats could form coalitions with moderate Republicans, but we are deep in uncharted territory here.
Yeah, in terms of working with the Democrats, is there any sort of motivation for that on the Democrat side?
Democrats are not going to bail Kevin McCarthy out. He has been too partisan a figure for that. But one scenario, and we've seen it in a number of states in recent days, is where moderate Republicans say we need to stop having the far right call all the shots. So moderate conservatives saying, look, let's do the math with Democrats, have a Republican speaker, so perhaps a former member, which is allowed under U.S. law, and get Democrats plus moderate Republicans to easily blow past 218. I want to caution, that is not likely. That is contrary to the culture of Washington right now. But it would mathematically erase the deadlock, and it would be the kind of bipartisan governing that the vast majority of the American people want, but Washington seems unable to comprehend.
It feels as though the Republican Party is 2 parties right now.
Yes.
What sort of damage is being done to them?
Enormous. I mean, look, they just narrowly won the House majority. They lost independent voters in the last midterm, which is highly unusual for a midterm election. And here they can't even get out of the gate because 20 members just seem to want to be professional obstructionists. And this is the problem with the sort of election denier caucus we've seen in the Republican Party. They exist primarily to oppose. They're a collection of grievances rather than focused on governing and proposing solutions. So you reap what you sow, and that's what Kevin McCarthy's dealing with right now. And for him, it's a nightmare return to, as you pointed out earlier, 2015 when he tried to get the speakership the last time. He couldn't do it then, and then Republicans had 245 seats. So it's a steeper climb right now with a much smaller margin for error.
John Avlon.